Well, good evening. Welcome to Man Up Monday, the show where men sit around, have a drink, and talk about man stuff, especially being men of God. I'm Pastor BJ Fouts, or just BJ Fouts for you tonight. I'm here with Nate Benter, and we have a special guest with us this week. Jeff Borchers joins us. Jeff is sitting in because the third in our usual trio is, how shall we say it?
Tied down.
He is tied down. Yeah. Yeah, congratulations, Stephen. We're excited for you.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Well, gentlemen, we're into our second week of the COVID-19 pandemic here in Nebraska, in our country, and around the world. What's new? What's new in life in the past week?
Not a whole lot from my end. Still going to work. Things are starting to slow down a bit for Cassie. She's getting used to working from home, and the weather's turned. So it's actually nice out.
Yeah, I was able to work. My job, I'm fairly isolated um, in my job itself, so I can get out and do most of my regular duties, but cautiously when it comes to interacting with people. And Shelly's office and most of the dental offices are closed down for whatever extended period of time, and so she has applied for unemployment and gone through those processes, and so we're just kind of entering the new normal phase of what that's going to be. But the schoolwork for the kids, I thought the teachers have done a really good job, and that's all been really good. And I thought the kids have actually enjoyed that process to an extent. Of course, being able to do it in your pajamas and in on the couch and whenever you want to, kind of helps too. So.
Yeah, it's definitely been a different dynamic from an educational standpoint. Just seeing both Cassie's in, and she'll show me some things that the students have done as well, and not having face to face. Definitely, I think it's quite the adjustment for everybody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think the students at first it was new, it was interesting, it was exciting. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see as this goes on and on through the rest of the school year, how when it gets old.
Yeah, I think it's good though. Like it doesn't seem. It's obviously not a full day of school, like it normally if they're in the building. But I think it's such a long day, and especially when, like you said, the weather hasn't been great. I mean, the sun hasn't even been out; it's been gloomy, and so just even being able to occupy them for a couple of hours, at least for us, has been a blessing almost because it's you try and limit their screen time of other things or just being on their phone and making sure that that's not what they're doing the whole day and reading. And so this gives them a couple of hours to really focus on something else when we don't have to try and police that or set limits to it for them. So it's healthy for everybody.
Yeah, I think you mentioned one thing a minute ago, Jeff, talking about um, filing for unemployment, and I think that that's something that a lot of people are struggling with. Is just the way our brain has always worked. Like we got a job, but we don't have to go through that step and worry about that sort of thing. And it's almost for a lot of people a pride thing, to not need that. And right now that's calling a lot of people causing some anxiety.
Absolutely.
I know. Thankfully, right now, our family, we haven't been there yet. Your family is not there yet, but you're enduring that. Has that caused any extra kind of stress in you guys?
Well, we had that conversation, and I had that conversation with a couple of friends that are in similar situations, and there is that little bit of hesitation, that pride, like, gosh, not that, not that it's judgment on anybody that has to be on unemployment in a normal situation, but um, my wife, and I guess you have to know your constituents or your individuals. So my wife is not the type of person that is going to sit around and not look or try. I mean, if she was truly unemployed, she'd be doing something or trying to find something, and very dedicated to doing that. And so we both pretty much agreed or saw eye to eye right on that take the pride out of it in the situation, and that this is something we have to do to, be able to make it go at home, money wise. She makes the majority of the money in our family, and so even if it was going to be 50% of her normal paycheck, we were going to need that to continue to pay the bills. And so that it didn't really cause the initial step to commit to that didn't necessarily cause anxiety, but until they passed some more of the stimulus stuff and we knew what the final number was she was going to bring home, that caused a little anxiety, because you're trying to crunch numbers out, a couple of weeks, or if we have to do this for a month, how are we going to keep paying the bills? And so I think everybody can relate to that right now. Even if you're not filing for unemployment, just the effects of hours and altered paychecks, I think everybody's doing that a little more, or thinking about that a little more, and that is a fear and an anxiety that we're all struggling with right now.
It's almost a feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can just go out and find a new job.
Right. Yeah, you can't, because they're not hiring. There's so many jobs. Exactly.
Yeah, you're literally just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, we're not there yet, but I mean, who knows? And a lot of us might find ourselves in the same situation. I know as an employer, working with the church, as an employer, we're trying to care for all of our employees, and that's stressful too. But now with different programs that are being passed and the legislation you mentioned, that's kind of alleviating some of that stress for us to try to find a way to help all of our employees make sure that they're being taken care of. And I think people who have employees or people they're trying to provide for, outside their family, that's got to be weighing heavy on their heart too.
Yeah, it is tough. Couple of the discussions. My brother-in-law owns a restaurant in Valentine, Nebraska, and talking with Mike Goodwater, they've had to reduce their staff. I think their staff is understanding. They get it, so it's not necessarily they have any anxiety towards or animosity towards the employer, but those are tough decisions that those guys have had to make, and not just them, but a lot of people in that field, especially. And you just hope that this doesn't drag on for months, that this stimulus is enough to get us through, and somehow we've already been able to curb this enough to where we can get back to things quicker than normal. But if it drags on for a couple of months, it could be
Get interesting.
There's going to be a lot of people that are hurting in a lot of different ways.
We'll be talking to our economics professor here quite a bit more. That's your area of expertise, right?
I mean, a little bit.
Semi-professional?
Nobody's called you the professor before, though, have they?
I wouldn't look at me for advice if that's what you're wondering.
Sure. We do have a nice day today, and I think that helps to be able to get outside. We're filming outside, and we got the background noise of the neighborhood. And I hope you're not too frustrated about that on the camera. I'm not going to worry about it, because it's nice to be outside. Not to be kind of cooped up inside with all the cloudiness and the rain we had last couple of days. What are you guys doing to? Your bike's not on camera here, but you biked over here.
Yep.
What are you guys doing to get active during isolation quarantine time?
Biking 6 feet from my wife. But no.
You have a tandem situation? You measure that out? Or?
Yeah. Keep a rope.
All right.
Keep a little tension on it. No, I was thinking the other day, though, I've been to Menards a couple times, and the amount of household projects you're seeing purchased at Menards right now. And I think that in itself is keeping people occupied. And now today, like Cass and I, we went out and, started cleaning up the yard and planted some flower bulbs and just kind of getting ready for spring. And I guess hoping we're bringing it on here.
Mm-hmm.
But just being able to do different things and not sit at home and, I guess, mope about the situation, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You just kind of gotta, life goes on.
Yeah, similar for us. A few home projects, small stuff that when it's been raining, you get done in the garage or house, and we've been trying to do family activities. We do some of those family time devotions occasionally, maybe not daily, but been a little more intentional probably about trying to get some of those done. Shelly's really good at reminding me. Maybe we should do one of those. And so we've been able to have some good discussions that way, and some of those have different activities, but over the last few years, we've also tried to do some of those home workouts, DVDs type things, and so today will be like the 14th day in a row that I've worked out, which is like a new record in my life. But the kids have been doing those too, and so getting some physical activity, and Blake especially I've been pretty impressed with him because he's been pretty eager, and I think he's been talking to some of the football coaches and stuff now at the high school, and they say any activity is better than anything, and some of those workouts are actually pretty intense and difficult, and he's been pretty eager to participate in those. So we've been getting some good exercise and activity in, especially on those days when it's raining, and hopefully now that it gets nice, we can get outside more and maybe incorporate some more traditional running or something. But
You need to bike 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to.
Maybe like a 6-foot pole rod type between the axles of the bikes or something. Yeah, our kids, especially our high school daughter and our son who likes to run, they've been challenging each other to runs around town, even on cloudy days. And he's more of a distance runner. She's more of a sprinter.
Yeah.
So they don't exactly work well together. But they're challenging each other, which is nice to see. And, I'm looking forward to, getting we're not sure yet about summer ball seasons and things like that. But, hoping that come fall, we got football around again, and hoping back on the field and being in shape for that. So trying to incorporate more. Haven't quite got the treadmill hooked back up, figured out how to fix that again inside, but trying to run outside, or at least get outside and do something, especially now.
For me, it's almost been easier to focus on that or to do those things because we can't do all those other things. It seemed like that pushes that down the list. And so, and again, like there's so many, you go through the day, and it's especially when we were kind of home the week before last, and we were kind of self-isolating because we had traveled, and there's only so much you can do during the day. And I was working on the computer, and it was like, well, it's easy. Now I want to go do this because I don't have to run to a game, or I don't have to get the kids to practice, and I didn't just get home from work and sometimes it seems like we try and squeeze that in. So like I said, 14 days in a row is kind of a good streak for me, but it's almost been easier to do it because just the day doesn't seem as hectic. So that could be a blessing, I think.
Yeah, and I've seen the same thing, being able to work out at night a little bit, and just like I said, you have the time now, and everyone else has the time, so you can challenge some friends to some friendly competitions, if you will. And
I've seen a lot more people out walking, even on those marginal days, and family walks or groups, not just a couple of usually women. No offense, guys. Usually the women are out walking for more of a physical exertion than the guys are, but I've been seeing families out a lot more, and that also I think is a blessing, a good thing that people are having to focus on that, or having to spend time doing some of those things. So.
And it's good for you. And I being outside, fresh air, sunshine, activity, that might boost some of your immune system. Not giving medical advice to anybody, but hey, who knows? That might be the difference for you.
And building positive habits
Right.
for post COVID-19. I think that's definitely a good thing as well.
Yeah, well, I've definitely eaten better, and I've worked out more in the last 2 weeks than I did in the last 2 years. So
I thought you were looking a little better.
yeah, that's what I said. If we self-isolated much longer, people would probably think I was sick because I come out and lost like 30 pounds. So.
No enhancement drugs though.
No.
So,
All right.
yeah, no steroids, none of that stuff. You're
Yeah.
in good shape there. So, yeah. Well, we want to talk forever. So, kind of, what's one thing in the past week where you really felt like you were winning? My life was awesome. you're on top of things, doing things right. And the reason I asked that question when I share, and guys at home, pat yourself on the back. Too. These are times where nobody knows what to do. So celebrate little things like that. And so, a question I put out there for you guys to think about today, and for us to kind of move on here. One thing you could pat yourself on the back, you were winning in the past week or so.
Well, I did play Cassie in a board game this week, and I got beat, so that definitely wasn't winning. She usually doesn't beat me. But, no, I was just thinking about it, and I was just thinking today even with the nice weather, getting out, clean up the yard, and planting some flowers, and it's like just feels good to, just kind of forgot everything. Not sitting inside because it's cold and raining, checking my phone, checking the news, see what's going on. Couldn't tell you what's going on. So yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, it's similar for me, since we had kind of self-isolated and then being able to get back to work. And like I said, I'm pretty isolated at work, but was able to get out and do some things at work. Tearing out an old fence line from the flood last year. We're still in the process of replacing a lot of that. And so, running some equipment and doing some good physical labor and getting outside and getting back to work again. It's like almost feeling like a normal, what would be normal. And so I was feeling pretty good about that. But then you get home sometimes and you read the news and reality hits and you go, well, we're not through this, and we still got a long road to go. So, but being able to regain probably that false sense of control is what it is. Just like today, like almost feels like a normal spring day, what I'd be doing any other year because it's nice out and you can get outside. And kids are riding bikes, and washing vehicles, and that sort of thing. But
unless you check the news, you would never know that anything was going on.
And that's probably more of a blessing that we live where we live. That we haven't seen some of the impacts, and you hope that our worst here, isn't anything compared to what's going on in New York and those sorts of things. But
I got friends in Ohio, and my family's in Indiana, and Cassie's family's in Michigan, and they've got it a lot worse than we do. So that too just kind of gives a sense of reality as to how much better off we are right now, which I guess helps as well.
Count your blessings.
Yes,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. But then the things that are normal, like just being able to like go over and visit my parents or something, and now there's like something in the back of my mind that goes, well, should we really do this? They're in, whether they think they are or not, they're in that target class, and
You're calling them older? Is that what you're saying?
I had that discussion with my dad. He was coming up with a lot of different terms for it, but just that thought process, which seems like an almost normal everyday thing, living in this community all our lives, and just going in and out of their house or stopping over whenever we want, and now thinking about, well, what if for some reason we gave it to them, and that's scary. It's really scary to think about.
The fear of being the one to bring it.
That's much worse than if I had it and had to fight through it myself. I could deal with that much easier than I could deal with knowing that I spread it around our congregation or our community, and even one person dying from it, knowing that I brought it would be. I don't know how a guy would deal with that.
I know that's something that's on my mind a lot. But
I know today we're recording on Sunday. I don't know if you know that or not. So my win for the week was sitting down for church this morning, and before we started, I put my phone on airplane mode. First time I'd not had my phone beeping and buzzing every 30 seconds for the past week, and to put that aside and then to sit down and worship. That was a win. I'll call it that. However, I also claim a win because I was able to sit down to worship, and don't do this at home. But I had my cereal bowl with my, yogurt, bananas, and granola, and, amen. But which is a new Sunday morning thing. I think I'm hoping that after this is all over with, my elders will let me do that.
Yeah.
That I can,
If I can come to church in my pajamas,
I
it's
can
all
have,
good.
in my pajamas and have a bowl of cereal during the service. That would be great. But now I forgot what I was going to go next with that. What were you just talking about? But then afterwards we started last Sunday. We after church went to town, got drive through, sat at the park and ate. And after the news of a second case in a community transmission in Norfolk, and I mean, then you start to sit back and ask yourself, should we expose our kids and our family to this? Should we do that, or we had to order groceries to pick up too. Should we just sacrifice one person to go in town and do that, or just take the family, stay in the car, do the drive-through, sit at the park, eat the food. And I was very glad we all went anyway, because there's that fine line between being smart and living in fear, and trying to figure out where that line is. But for now, I mean, we'll be smart, and hopefully, God willing, that's smart enough.
Yeah.
But
well, and I think we tend to only react to what we know, right? And so, second case has showed up in Norfolk, and so it's like, oh, now maybe we obviously get the more mandates, but we have to. I think reasonably we should respond to the fact that, well, we know it's here, it's around us more than that, and so we shouldn't be reactive to those numbers, because it's just not how those things work. And it's such a small sample size being tested that it has to be present more than just two people in Norfolk. And so if we all function in that regard, I think, and continue to be cautious without living in fear, but smart, like you said, the strain is going to be, I think, as this continues to drag on, that it's going to be tough. And I'm guilty of this as well. You go a week or 2 weeks and you think, man, we did really good. And then it's like, gosh, we did really good, but I know them and we're pretty isolated, so we'll have some limited contact. And you start to relax just a little bit, and you hope that after a couple of weeks of this, people don't just get completely tired of it and say, well, we just got to go and get back to normal.
One hiccup changes the entire game.
Yeah, and it can reset the whole process.
Yep.
the last question I want to talk about. So there's a place in the Bible, and Jesus says, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice." And I asked you guys to kind of think about that for a minute and reflect on that. And I want to tell you why. Okay, as a man, I'm a fixer. I'm a fixer. My family, any trouble that comes up in the house, I'm a fixer. I'm going to raise my son to be a fixer. A couple, I think it was about a week ago, the fire alarm starts chirping, and that one that we forgot to change the battery in, I got to go change the battery in that alarm, and I forgot to reset the alarm afterwards. So it quit chirping for about 6 hours. Jessica and I left. We're gone. Next morning, the alarm starts chirping on my son, and I'm so proud of him, aside from the fact he wasted a brand new 9-volt battery, changed the battery again.
Yeah.
He fixed it. I'm raising a fixer. It's awesome. It's a win. Way to go, man stuff.
Didn't even have to call you.
Didn't even have to call and ask. I want to be the fixer. I want to be the guy that, when something breaks around the house or something's wrong, I got daughters, when their heart's broken, I want to go beat up some boy for breaking it. Be a warning. But I can't fix COVID-19. And there are a lot of other things I can't fix also. And I listen to my wife talk, and I try to fix things, and then she gets mad, and I can't fix, all those things. And it's something that I learned, and I want to share with you guys, and I share with our listeners, and get your kind of feedback. My name is not Jesus. And I can fix a lot of things, but I'm not going to save my family from all of them. And that's too big of a role for me. And the whole notion of mercy, not sacrifice, God is calling me to love. Not to kind of be the one to die to make everything better. That was Jesus' job. But to love the best I can anyway. And that's as I reflected on that, and I want you guys to kind of piggyback off that a little bit as you thought about that reference or that Bible verse today. How are you as a fixer?
If I had $1 for every time my wife told me, I just want you to listen, not try to fix, I'd be rich.
What's the video where the girl's got the nail on the forehead?
Not about the nail.
It's not about the nail. Maybe you just pulled it out. That's not what this is about. All right. It's funny because it's so true. I think most guys would agree with that. Everything you just said, and that's what's so scary for us as men right now. And I know my brother-in-law this week sent a text, and this was just like 4 days ago. He said, "This might be the first day I've truly been scared," and I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet. But I need to call him and talk with him because I know it's the same thing we talked about. What's 2 weeks going to bring if we're still on unemployment or if we can't work? And every guy in our community in America, whatever, right now, has got to be going through that because we are fixers, and no matter what that situation is. And I know in my own life before this, I've learned that. Thank goodness my wife is patient and the Lord is patient. And what happens in those situations, specifically like with my wife, it's those times when you screw up and you want to fix it, but you can't because it just takes time to heal those wounds or to allow God to fix those things over time. You can't just go out and do one thing that says this rectifies that situation. And so we just have to be patient and trust in God, I think, in these times, to know that the false sense of security and control that we usually have through our daily lives is still Him guiding us and controlling us, and it's not going to be any different. And so we were discussing this before. Like I said, I think if we wake up and we have air in our lungs and we're able to go do whatever we can for that day, then that should be sufficient. And I can't quote a lot of scripture, but there is a Bible verse that always sticks with me. Matthew 6:34. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. And I think that one verse really, whether it's this current situation or any situation, helps guide me through these tough times, because it really, we don't have any control over it, and we can't fix it. So that's the long answer.
It is. Well said. I think I said that last
You were
week.
going to say it. I knew it was coming. Well said. All right. Well, at the end of last week's show, we kind of issued a challenge. We're not going to put on like a Goose Chase app or anything. Nice wig. I've seen the video. Okay.
Did you see Blake dive into the ditch full of water?
I don't think I saw Blake dive into the ditch full of water.
I think he sent it to Mr. Whitney. So.
Okay, I'll have to ask about that.
If not, I have it on my phone.
Okay. So yeah, challenge for this week. What would you say?
Last week we did to do something with your family.
Yeah. Help out, do the dishes, or just something like that.
The one feedback I got was, "Don't make me do the dishes." I think that was from Jeff.
Yeah. I made my kids do the dishes.
I mean, you taught them and raised them
I
up.
supervised them doing the dishes.
To be dished.
And I said, "Go help your mother do the dishes."
Yeah, that was a big help. Silence. Try it. There's your challenge.
This is halftime.
I think probably one of the biggest things that's trying me during this time, continue to do those things to try and be helpful, but also because we're stressed out, because we're thinking about the unknown that we can't fix, I think we need to challenge ourselves to be mindful of that, and then not react. I think you guys mentioned this last week, but not react poorly to our families, to take it out on them, to snap and be in short judgment, whether it be our kids. And I get it. I know right now, especially with kids being at home, and that sometimes it can be a long day, and it doesn't matter how old your kids are or what stage they're in, it's a challenge, or your dogs. You can relate.
Dig up my yard. It takes a lot of patience.
But to challenge what you said, to challenge just to be loving, be more loving, and not so bound to fixing things and get so stressed out that we snap and are because if our attitudes really start to go at home, then that's when things are really going to fall apart. And so if we can maintain some sort of loving, positive attitudes while we're at home, then I think that'll go a long ways to healing us and picking us through this time. So.
You can thank someone in your family for something they did every day.
Okay. I like it. Nice work, man.
My wife's birthday is coming up, so if you want to get her something for me, then I won't have to worry about it.
There you go. It'll be Jeff's payment for filling in with us this week. So, well, Jeff, thank you for filling in. We appreciate you being here. Nate, nice work. Thanks again.
Yep.
And Steven, take care. All right, take care of that new baby. And gentlemen around, God's blessings to you all. Take care.
Cheers.
See you guys.
So, gentlemen, we're into our second week, full week now of the COVID-19.
Just start from gentlemen.
The Gong Show. That's perfect.
That was great.
All right.
Continuing on.
I do have a confession. As I measure the chairs apart here, to get the best camera angles, we're 5 feet center of chair to center of chair. I didn't get the 6, so maybe I was too lackadaisical with that.
We're outside. It's okay.
So that's my confession. And we're all breathing this way, right?
Yeah,
We're not
winds.
breathing.
I'm actually downwind, so I'm the only one in trouble.
Okay, we'll get you. And I'm completely in the shade now. You probably can't even see
I'm
me
drinking
anymore.
whiskey, so that helps.
That'll help. It's an antiseptic,
Yeah.
disinfectant, whatever. Yeah.